Alrighty guys, Supreme Kami over here. So we are going to be diving into the Phantom Gundam Alteration over here, review over here. So in terms of the Phantom Gundam, the only reason I really summon for it, I think one of the main aspects is like how cool it looks with those like glowy effects. I mean like they definitely caught me right there. They caught me off guard by dropping things, for sure. Those glowy effects, the head, the torso, the backpack, the arm, the leg, everything glows in the sky. I'm like, I gotta have it. So that's why I kind of split my horrors onto. I would have just went into the Perfect Strike Freedom, obviously, just because that one I feel like is a little bit more valued than what the Phantom Gundam would do. Because like I initially thought the Phantom Gundam would probably pack us with like let's say 40% trait on that melee weapon, but they did not. They actually gave that to the Perfect Strike Freedom. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, like why? But the Phantom Gundam does have is a 40% trade that is only going to be in the head, which is going to be on a rivalry between the Ultron, the G and Ultron as well. But I would say in terms of the stat you guys going to be looking at in a bit, it's not going to be too much of a drastic change. Both of them are going to be boosting Infighter. Let's actually just start right now. It's actually going to be boosting Infighter as well, so you guys can see real quick right here. So it's going to be giving an Infighter job EXQ power boosted by 40%, and then while you have close combat active, EXQ power boosted by 40%. So I would say close combat is definitely going to be a trait you will activate for sure in a melee build, obviously, right? So I would say that's pretty fine. Do keep that in mind. This is going to be a double EXQ boosting. So for whatever reason, let's just say that, right, you want to put this onto your shooter build for whatever reason, you can definitely do that. Let's say you have like your shooter type job license, let's say in or out, not in middle and long shooter, you can definitely run this on problem, but no, you cannot because you need infighter up here, which is, I wish this one was like outfighter, because the G and Ultron is literally another infighter. So yeah, I just kind of wish this one was outfighter, but they did not give us that option, which is, I mean, it is what it is. I guess eventually they'll start pumping out those 40% traits specifically to Outfighter. So until that time comes, we'll just have to stick with Infighter. So if you guys cannot really, let's say, build a build around Infighter, for example, or even close combat, this is definitely not going to be the head parts trait you want to be using. But I would say this head part right here is definitely going to be something you at least try to optimize for it. It'll be good. This one is definitely going to be a part that is going to be really beneficial. So if you guys don't have any, let's say, you guys don't have any 40% trait on your head, I would say this one is good. But not to the point where I would say, oh, summon for it, because the overall banner is not like, oh, spectacularly good. I feel like summoning for that one engineering part on this banner specifically, look at a 9-part split, no, definitely not. So we'll probably skip on this one. If you guys don't have this part, don't try to chase for it. But if you guys do have this, pull this. Luckily on that guarantee step or even some of the steps, definitely alterate it for the benefit of the 40% EXC boost over here. Moving on to the torso over here, let's see what the torso has in store for us over here. I'm seeing some insane high armor right there, but not going to be as high as the, let's say, Tri-Burning. Tri-Burning comes in at 8,400, so that is that. But disclaimer right now, I should have said this, I should have mentioned it earlier. When I'm doing these latest Alteration review, I am looking at it in the respective of those 40% change gear, because we have ways to farm that out right now. So that's why I am going to be bumping it up just a notch right here. So that is that. In terms of, I forgot to even talk about the vortex in this guy. So vortex on this unit itself is going to be transformer, high mobility, and then close combat. So this one is going to be more of like a ambient type build. This is going to be more specific to, I'm just going to say right now, this is going to be extremely good. Oh, hold on a minute, this guy has some high beam resistance right there. But going back to my topic, I was talking about that this is going to be more of like the SPN type build, because SPN is a transformer type unit as well. So you're gonna see that it's gonna raise shot attack by 10% on a melee build. This, I would say this unit is gonna play a major role if you guys are looking at the perspective of, let's say, shot arena, like the shot defense arena. I think this unit itself, alongside, let's say, FPM parts, And then I believe there was also another melee unit that has transformer. I forgot. I think probably 2 weeks or 4 weeks ago we had that unit. I forgot what it was, but I know that we had another one recently. So I think I mentioned already. It's gonna perform extremely well in shot defense arena because if you guys are looking at shot defense arena, your enemy, what enemy you guys are facing, will definitely have some extremely high armor. Since you're gonna be probably coming in with a melee based unit, you probably, let's say, break to like you will have no problem like cheesing to whatever damage you need to do. So that's why it's good. But I'm not saying to summon specifically for that arena. I'm just saying what it can be good for due to the word tag issue this unit has over here. So granted, with having transform over here, I would just say it's not the most optimal word tag to be using in the melee build. Yes, it does have 5%, let's say, melee attack, but ideally for a better build, you run pro tag for sure, close combat for that 5% melee attack and then 5% melee defense, and then you will either go in between, let's say, high mobility or even high firepower. But that's that. But let me see. You can, I mean, arguably you can still viably use transformer. That's the thing. It still gives 10 or 5%, let's say, melee power. So I can, let me just kind of take that back just a little bit. Yes, it's still good. 5%, but I would say in terms of like building around it, it may not have the most optimal part. So I guess that can be something you can kind of argue for. But in terms of the torso, it's not gonna be looking at like the top ranker of this one over here. Unfortunately, you're gonna be a little bit underneath what are like in terms of like the recently released unit. You have Blazing up on top, GN Ultron at second, and then you also have Jake Arch Gundam, and then you also have Double Shield Quanta, which is probably a good unit. And you're also going to be a little bit beaten by the Big Scale Justice, which is good. Big Scale, you get that non-conditional 20% boost or parameter transfer already, so that's going to be good with that. But word tag, yeah, the word tag is bad for this one to begin with. Not that it's bad, not that it's unusable. It's just uncommon, right? You can definitely use it. It's just a matter of fact like finding a good sub slot for this, like for transformer, I would say. So in terms of the portrait, why I said this one, I haven't even talked about that. So this one is going to be one of those EXQ power reduced by 20%. So this one in turns is going to be for a P attribute. So I would say, just like I said for the Perfect Strike Freedom, I would highly not recommend these types of part over here. Just because like trying to farm like to be optimal, right? Trade level 1, you only look at 6%, so it's not going to contribute too much to, let's say, your overall 100% cooldown reduction build. So it's not going to be that good compared to, let's say, some warfare or even standard. In terms of standard one, I wouldn't recommend right now. It's going to be let's say the Morse 4. The Morse 4. Oops. Hello? Can this core work, please? Okay, so we're back. In terms of some standard, I would just, let's say, recommend Morse 4. Morse 4 actually does have those 20% 20% EXQ cooldown reduction, all that. And also another one that's on top of my mind right now is going to be a straight red frame. Those two are going to be torso based, so I would say those are even better. If not, you can also look at Big Scale XE, the T-type version, but I believe that one is locked to a T attribute, so yeah, I think that one is locked to a T attribute, so you might have a little bit of a workaround to do with that. But I think the overall bigger picture, I'm trying to say that warfare standard unit will have a better, easier time to get up to a or portrait level 10 compared to a Soka parts. It's going to be extremely hard and you cannot really optimize to its full advantage. So that's why if you guys do pull this part, you can use it for let's say stat purposes, but I will not use it for the portrait. So me for this one, I'll probably say no, I'm not going to alt-treat it, just because I feel like I won't even be able to optimize that second portrait anyways. But do keep in mind right now we do have a unlimited time in terms of like these will never expire. There's no time limit, so let's say many months later on, you coming back to this video and talk about, oh, I have this, oh, I have the fan ligament chest at max out partial level 10, should I alterate it? I guess if you guys do have a max out, for example, at that point in time, yes, alterate it because you have good stat obviously, and you're also gonna have a power boosting nonetheless. So but right now I would say no for me, so that's that. All right, moving on to the arm. I'm gonna mention, like, I think I had mentioned it many times already. What I see as a good melee arm is a portrait, and this one does not fulfill that. Instead, we are gonna be having an IFU. What does it say? IFU Storm over here. So that is that. In terms of how its ranking is, not bad. It's actually on like in the top 10, you know, coming in at 12,271, which is respectably very good. It's just the only problem, gonna mention it again. This one has the EX skill, so you cannot reliably subslot another Phantom Gundam, you know, for instance. But let's say you don't even pull the second copy. I think the best option is definitely going to be going over to some big scale. I think big scale definitely save a lot of you guys in a lot of hassle problem, right? You can look at, let's say, Exient, the big scale Exient, but keep that in mind. That one is going to be a little bit specific to T attribute. So if you guys are not running T attribute, that might be a problem. You can also look at L Strike or even Barbados fourth form. I think those would be good. Just kind of make sure that you have high mobility as one of the tags in there, or not. You probably only going to be getting 20% sub slot. Or you can kind of take a look real quick in terms of big scale arms over here, because I'm only like, for whatever reason, I only remember the original 5. I don't really remember the other ones. So we can look at X divider. I don't think, nope, X divider is not. What about this one? Nope. Like, all the big scale are good, right? No knock on any one of them. It's just that some of them are just slightly better. In terms, like, this one you can't really use it. Like, Xia has, yep, mobility, and then I believe, yeah, this one does as well. So these two work, but I feel like L Strike would be a little bit better, just because you do have like close combat, so you're still safe in that respective. Wing Gundam, on the other hand, does have that, but this one's gonna be more for like a shooting base over here. So that is that, right? So let me do this real quick. Going back over here, in terms of the IFU or the IFU Storm over here, so this one is gonna be giving yourself. This one's only gonna be yourself. So this one's a little bit of a selfish awakening over here. I think all awakening in general is a little bit selfish already. I don't know, no. Let me take that back. There are some that is heavily let's say big utility for your squad. So this one is selfish itself right here. It's gonna raise your shot defense by 29%. Also gonna raise your beam resistance by 79%. So that is extremely high. On base, let me see. On base is probably 70%. Is it? Yeah, that's really powerful. Coupled it with that, the fact that this unit itself has pretty good beam resistance to raw, right? Let me see. Let me just kind of, yeah, this unit itself does have a extremely well packed beam resistance. So if you do activate this one over here, I can kind of say you can relatively tank pretty good when you guys are facing against enemy. It does give you guys some beam weaponry, for example. But keep that in mind, you will not be able to tank a cutscene EX skill regardless if you have that active. That's just how powerful cutscene EX skill are. Unless your build is like one of those tanky build where you have enemy power reduction, like in terms of EX skill, melee / shooting. In that respective, you may be able to tank it. But just with a standalone of this one over here, pair that up with whatever stat, I don't think you'll be able to tank a normal hit. Normal EX skill probably can, maybe, but cutscene EX skill definitely not. So is this something I will alterate? Not gonna be on a high priority list for me personally, just because I feel like this is not gonna be too optimal for like a melee build. I would definitely use it for like a sub slot, right? Not even like just for sub slot to activate this, for example, because you're not losing on too much. You're probably gonna jumping from, you're not even getting any increases on the top part. You're only gonna get 10% more for the beam resistance, which is not the most impressive anyway. So I'll say this one is just good itself without alteration already. So moving on to the leg over here. So in terms of leg, it's a flame sword EX skill over here. But I did see the animation wise is pretty choppy. It's one of your generic like a rapid thrust. So I'm like, I'll probably skip out on the EX skill base over here. But we can see some insanely high armor training again. Beam resistance is up there again. That's that, right? In terms of the melee, the offensive and defensive value are relatively similar. So let's see where we're looking at in terms of the leg over here. In terms of leg, you are looking in the top section right now, so that's good. You have Life Lance up in top. I would say Life Lance is kind of replaced by Big Justice already, so I would say if you guys have those Life Lance or even Big Justice, I'll definitely run them over this guy over here. Definitely the tag is gonna be exactly the same as the Life Lance, so if you guys do have that, that one's definitely gonna be the best option. Just because this one comes with the EX skills, so it's not gonna be that good. You would definitely have to think of some good sub slot for your a good sub slot that has portrait. That is gonna be pretty much it. You guys really want the leg for a sub slot for the stat purpose? I would say yes. But me personally, I don't. This one is definitely not gonna be that top priority for me to archery. This is not just not too good, right? So I'll say I'll skip on the leg. The leg is not gonna be a top choice for me in this case right here. Alright, moving on to the backpack over here. So in terms of the backpack, man, this guy has some insane stats on the armor, like, oh my gosh. Yeah, like that's crazy. In terms of the backpack, this guy's gonna be ranked number 2, just right behind the left lance heavens over here. I would say this one is a little bit of a better advantage in terms of like compared that to the left lance over here. Just because the vortex in this guy is slightly better. High mobility and close combat. Close combat will definitely bridge to any melee build extremely well. You see some pretty high defensive value. Beam resistance is definitely up there as well, so not bad. This one's gonna be a Phantom Light over here, so not bad. I'm gonna raise your melee attack of your squad by 39%. Also gonna raise beam resistance. Wow, another beam resistant raise over here. But I do believe this is an Awakening EX skill. So what Awakening EX skill is gonna cancel out any pre-existing Awakening skills. So your IPU Storm will get notified. So not the best way to handling it. So yeah, just unfortunate, right? Just really unfortunate. If this is a non-awakening, oh man, you will be able to stack those two buffing. So you'll be looking at 49 and then plus what 70. It's gonna be good. But unfortunately, this one is gonna be awakening, so they will not stack. The backpack, oh man, like the overall unit, so I had to pray this unit for just having those really cool ping effects part. The backpack is definitely something I was trying to pull, but I could not. That's a little unfortunate on my end. But overall, do you want to archer it? I feel like if you want it purely for the stat, you can. And depending on the EX skill, I mean these are all S power anyway. So if you compare that to, let's say, any of the relatively S type or S power type EX skill, I would say these would just purely depends on how you want to utilize this over here. Because definitely this one does give you a EX skill or just a melee buff to your squad. But do you guys even want, do you guys want health recovery, or do you guys want some speed recovery or speed increases? I feel like there's just so many options out there in terms of cutscene EX skill. I would say this one you guys really have to, like, you guys really have to say, just depending on you guys, right? But if you guys purely want the stat, obviously you can. But you guys definitely want to have some good sub slot, you know, some potential portrait that can kind of slide right into that sub slot right there. But not pretty good. That hard armor there would definitely allow you to tank relatively good, so not bad, not bad for sure. To Saber over here, so we got the butterfly Buster B over here. I'm just a little bit shook how like this guy, this comes in at 12,300, like straight up. You're not gonna be packing any melee defense, so I'm like, okay, this one just want to be like all out. In terms of word tag wise, it's not bad, relatively good, you know. In terms of the portrait over here, okay, so this one does give you a back part EX skill, which is arguably, I would say it's okay. Back part, I would still take it, just because a lot of back part does have custody EX skill, which you can still benefit from it. But in terms of the second portrait, locking to only an infighter kind of hurts it by a little bit. So if you guys do have relatively good melee weapon already, I would say wait. I feel like eventually they will just roll out like a straight up melee centric 40% melee weapon. So I would say kind of hold up onto this one. This one is definitely not going to be a part you would say, oh, I need to go get it right now. It's not going to be the case with this one, I would say, for example. But you can argue that the stat for this one is definitely up there. I'll give it to that. but in respective to the purpose strike freedom, that one definitely has the better stat, better portrait, but that one is impossible to use basically, and unless you guys really optimize your part, really optimize your portrait or not, you cannot really use it to the full extent. I feel like this one is gonna be the same thing as well because of these two these two conditions. I feel like they're not the most conducive for like a melee based unit over here. So I would say if you guys do have it, kind of hold up on to it right now because there's no time limit on whether or not you want to alterate it. So why rather waste 5 your alteration tools over here to alterate this one? You guys can probably wait, until if they like, let's say given, let me give you guys a projectile. Like if they don't release like a 40% trade melee weapon within the next, let's say, or a month or two, then this one can be a good option to alterate. But if they, for whatever instance, they release, let's say, the brave, let's say out, the Barbados Taurus gives you a 40% trade, then alterate that one. Simple as that. So that's just kind of my speculation onto that. I just feel like this one can be a little bit better, but they decide not to do that, so just unfortunate. But this right here, 12,300, just good, purely good. Moving on to the heat knife over here. Let's see what the heat knife does for us over here. Word tail wise on this one is not gonna be your not gonna be too good wise. Transformer is not gonna link them too well alongside with like any of the other. I would say not that it's bad all around, but it's just not the best. This one I can just say just don't even bother. This one's skipping a melee crit, so we can just kind of skip that right out the bat. Any crits in this game does not really benefit too much unless it's like a crit damage up. Just a regular like crit up is just not good at all. So this one is a skip for sure. Moving to the flame sword. What did oh, there's two. Oh, there's actually two. Okay, so there's two over here. So this one is the flame sword over here. This thing, if you put this into like actual battle, it's actually really good. Wow, like it's actually pretty cool as well. But word check wise, is not your welcome edition for like a melee build over here. This one I can say right at the bat is not good at all, just because it says when armor is 80% or less. So right at the bat, when you start a battle, you're not gonna be taking damage. So this one's not good. I feel, yeah, just not good. Why? Why would they put a condition that says 80% or less? Like, yeah, this one's not good. Nope. You guys can just kind of skip these two melee weapons. They're not good. So that's that. Moving on to the butterfly Buster B Gundam over here. In terms of this one, let's see what we have over here. This one is actually relatively well, pretty good. You do have some pretty high melee attack to begin with, like armor wise is top notch for sure. We also do have a little bit of a good melee defense, so that would translate relatively well as well over here. This one is good. This one gives you when buffed it, so keep that in mind. When buffed it, it's like below your icon you have those blue icons. It's like whether you have your shot attack up, melee attack up, defense is up. That is when this will kind of activate. This one is good. Like I would say this one is definitely good for whatever this one is trying to do. The condition on this one is not bad as well. It's just like more like your ranged weapon. On your melee build, on your ranged weapon, you're just gonna be losing out on terms of like weapon reload speed down 10%. It's not the worst. I'll definitely give to that. So this one, I would say this one is definitely a safe option to alterate. Just because this one is giving a double EXP boosting with not too bad of a condition that I can kind of live with over here. Definitely there are some parts that has some high mobility and close combat, or even high mobility and pro tag. So in that regard, you can definitely subsolve that and take away this one for an optimized build for sure. So overall, just looking at everything so far, I would say the head is definitely going to be the best one to alterate from the set. Next, I would say maybe the beam rifle. All the other one are just kind of like not there. I would say. I guess I'm being a little bit too conservative in a way. Definitely the melee weapon is just not like, well, there's too many boundaries that is attached to that. Definitely the heat knife, and then the flame sword. They're like one of the trait is just not well enough where I wouldn't alterate it. And then in terms of leg, and then the like backpack, I would say is fine for the stat wise. It's more of like a third option, just my opinion. Leg wise, is like we have better options out there already. Same goes to the arm. So pretty sad overall. Let me double check the chest real quick. Just yeah, yep. Yeah, the chest does have a better version in terms of standard unit, just because they're just 10 times more easy to farm up than, let's say, a Sokai. So that should be pretty much it. Those are just gonna be my recommendation. I feel like the other part has we have seen similar options that are a little bit better, which I would say you guys do have those already. I would say don't even bother watching these parts over here. But with that being said, that should be pretty much it for this video over here, and then I'll catch you guys all on the next one.